Macron blasted for destroying environment by activists over fishing method as fishing row ease off. Emmanuel Macron's government is completely blinkered to the environmental catastrophe caused by bottom trawling, a campaigner has said. The UK conceded 23 more fishing licenses to France on Friday, but the practice of dragging weighted nets across the seabed has been criticised by activists and experts alike as evidence of how not to preserve marine habitats or cut carbon emissions. According to Utah State University carbon specialist, Dr. Tricia Atwood, the amount of CO2 released by the practice is roughly the same as that generated by the global aviation industry. A total of 1.3% of the seafloor is trawled annually, releasing 1.5 gigatons of CO2 into the atmosphere, a paper co-authored by Dr. Atwood published in Nature points out. Dr. Atwood, who co-wrote the paper, told The Telegraph, "The findings have blown people away. We're discovering that a lot more underlying carbon is stored in the seabed than we thought." China, Italy, Russia and Denmark are among the worst offenders, though boats fishing in UK waters under the EU Common Fisheries Policy until this year meant Britain was fourth in the world. Melissa Moore from the Pan-European environmental group, Oceana, said, "It is weird, France is effectively asking to come in and destroy another country's habitat." Barry Dees, Chief Executive of the National Federation of Fishermen's Organisations, NFFO, the trade organisation representing British fishermen in relation to European fishing regulations, was infuriated by France's conduct in the licensing row. He said, "The licensing issue is something that should be resolved at the technical level. That it was escalated by highly belligerent language from France owes much to French domestic politics, and that the French seem to have convinced themselves that the TCA, Trade and Cooperation Agreement, represents the status quo, when it does not." The UK and Jersey governments have issued further licenses to French fishing boats to trawl British waters in an apparent attempt to ease cross-channel tensions. The Brussels-imposed deadline of midnight on Friday for solving the post-Brexit fishing row passed without an agreement being announced. However, the British government has since confirmed that talks on Friday evening between the Environment Secretary, George Eustice, and Virginijus Sinkevicius, from the European Commission, after several weeks of intensive technical discussions on licensing, resulted in more small boat licenses being granted. In a statement, a spokesperson said 18 more licenses had been granted to replacement vessels that had been able to present new evidence of having previously fished in British waters, with 7 more boats under consideration. Jersey had granted permanent licenses to an additional 5 vessels, they said. France had threatened to press the EU to instigate legal action and trade restrictions against the UK if there was not a sign of goodwill in the fishing wrangle before the midnight deadline set by Brussels. It is unclear whether the UK's latest licenses offer will satisfy the French government's definition of a gesture of good faith in the talks. On Friday, France's European Affairs Minister, Clément Beaune, suggested the deadline could be extended as long as the UK offered a few dozen extra licenses to show that the dialogue is bearing fruit. The UK said it considered the latest phase of negotiations to be closed. France seethed when the UK approved only 15 permits out of 47 applications for small French fishing boats to operate in UK waters. Jersey issued 66 full licenses and 31 temporary permits, but refused 73 applications. The European Union told the British government that the UK and France must resolve the row by December 10. France's Europe Minister Clément Beaune warned, "If dialogue doesn't bear fruit with the United Kingdom, we will defend our interests." The UK was unfazed by the ultimatum, though representatives of the UK fishing industry had already expressed disappointment at the Trade and Cooperation Agreement, accusing the government of sacrificing it for wider national objectives. Now France and EU politicians have indicated that they are satisfied by further concessions made by the UK on Friday. But Gregory Guida, Jersey's French-born Interior Minister, said, "We can't allow these waters to be plundered. This is very dangerous for conservation and is a violation of the UN Convention on the Law of the Seas." Charles Clover from the Blue Marine Foundation told the Telegraph bottom trawling needs to be abolished. He said, We would have a lot more fishing communities if it weren't for these dinosaurs grinding through the seas. The French government is being completely blinkered about this. They're trying to defend the indefensible. Since Britain regained control of its environmental lawmaking, it has banned bottom trawling on Dogger Bank, even though countries including Denmark oppose such moves and France pushes for more licenses to plunder UK waters. Mr. Clover added, "We weren't able to protect our fish stocks under the Common Fisheries Policy, and now we are.